Welcome to the Boss Women Network podcast, where we amplify the voices of powerful women who are building brands, shifting culture, and leading with purpose. Today's guest is Ms. Kelly Scott Gay, the founder of Daughter Ruth's Traveling, Java Scene, and the Menopause Collective. With over 25 years in customer service and hospitality industry, Kelly took her own life-changing experience through perimenopause and her hysterectomy and turned it into a mission to empower women through menopause education, mindfulness, and emotional resilience. She's now a menopause empowerment coach, entrepreneur, wedding officiant, and wellness advocate. She's inspiring women to reclaim their bodies, their mindset, and their voice. And Kelly, we are so honored to have you with us here today. Thank you.
I am so honored to be here. Thank you so much.
Yes.
That sounded really nice.
I'm glad you liked it.
Yes, that was awesome.
All right. Okay, so I see that you have spent 25 years in customer service, hospitality, and retail. So what was the moment that made you say, it is time to do something different?
The moment came actually perimenopause. Like now in hindsight, what I realized is that was what I was going through. And it was the beginning of when I started to recognize, okay, you have done all things in this industry and I learned so much. And it was tough after perimenopause because my body started to change. It started to handle the amount of work that it takes to run a restaurant and do anything in a restaurant. It takes a lot of brain power. It takes a lot of energy. You do a lot to your body. And my body said, look, ma'am, we're tired of you. You're on your feet. You've learned how to manage people. You learn how to manage situations. You need to take that and move it to another part of still caring for people and making people smile and helping people, but doing a little bit less hard work on your body, less labor, less hot flashes. And that part started to take over. And that's what let me know I needed to move on.
So what are the symptoms of perimenopause? How did you know that was what you were going through?
For starters, it started to be my body. So your body changes, like your muscles and your bones, they start to soften up. I ended up with arthritis in my knee because I wore good shoes, but my bones started to get a little weaker. So that's one of the symptoms. Everybody knows about hot flashes. They were rough. Like I recognize that I'm carrying a fan. Like everywhere I go, my body from the inside was hot. And keep in mind, I didn't really recognize that I was in perimenopause during those times. It's in hindsight now that I recognize that's what was going on. Because it was in my early 30s.
Oh, wow. You started in the early 30s.
I started in my early 30s. Yeah.
So the main symptoms are hot flashes and bone aches. Are those the only symptoms that you went through in your journey?
No, night sweats, not being able to sleep all through the night. Now, with me, I feel like menopause really shifted and changed where my mood would change, but it actually didn't. I just didn't recognize that's what was going on. So my mood was different. I've always been very much a happy, lively, energetic, get you in a good mood when you don't really want to be in a good mood kind of person. But I started to recognize, like, you know what? I'm not in a good mood today. I've always handled stressful situations pretty smoothly, but that started to change. Like I started to have to go and have a talk with myself first to be able to do that same thing for other people. And that was never anything that was me. So I recognized that as a change, mood swings, feeling a little sad, like it creates, like you feel not necessarily always depression, but I started to get some anxiety that was never one of my things. My emotions, like, yeah. So those are main switches, main symptoms, but there are so many and you don't recognize it.
So do you have children?
No. I don't have
Okay. Because I was going to ask you if it felt like going through postpartum depression, but you wouldn't know because you never experienced that. But yeah.
I don't think that it has a whole lot of difference because perimenopause and menopause is like your second puberty. So I could just imagine that postpartum is like right there in the middle of those same symptoms affecting you. But
Mhm.
I definitely I give much respect for moms and
Mm.
postpartum, but in my thoughts, I would imagine it's like right there in the middle
Yeah,
with
because it is
even
still
in
dealing with your
addition.
hormones and things
Yeah.
like that. Because
Mhm.
the symptoms are similar. So you mentioned that perimenopause and your hysterectomy changed you mentally, emotionally, spiritually. Can you walk us through what that transformation felt like?
Yes. So the perimenopause side of it actually carried over, like the symptoms carry over into menopause.
Really?
That yeah. So that's really what you're going through. Perimenopause is the toughest part. And that's when you experience the symptoms mainly because your body is then that's when your hormones start to change. And so that was already tough on me. And then when I got the hysterectomy, like they take stuff out. Body is moved around, my stomach is moved around. I started to feel the difference in that part. Healing from the surgery and just sitting down somewhere for that long was not something that I normally do. So I know
Mm.
that part affected me too, but the healing side of it actually happened really smoothly, but my emotions were everywhere. And just again, I think it's so important that we don't force ourselves to do something. And what I did to myself was force myself to stay in an industry because I had spent so much time in it. I had rose from starting off as a server in a restaurant. That was like what my resume was full of. That's where my experience lied.
Mm.
And so I forced myself to the last minute also staying in that industry. And so when I came out of it and in working in the restaurant I was working, I did everything. And so when I said I need to get this surgery, they said, "Who's going to run our restaurant?" You know?
What?
And I said, "You're going to run your restaurant. Like
Yeah.
you own it, like it's your
Right.
business." And they said, we can't lose you for that long." And so I came home and that already had me somewhere because again, I was forcing myself to stay in it because it was tough to get that same respect and recognition in another industry. So I'm going to have to start over. And so that part was tough, but I came home and I said, I got to go. It's time. They don't want to give me this time. And so that was the time where I knew I needed to leave there and change. But it affected me so bad emotionally. It affected my spirit. It
Yeah.
affected my belief in myself. I felt
Mm.
lost.
Mm.
And so I think too, because of it being a major surgery, which I had never had. I didn't endure childbirth. And so it just really made my emotions and my hormones. That was the beginning of that major imbalance that really affected me and my confidence and record saying, what do I do in another industry? How do I transition this that I've learned over into that? And I guess because my emotions were everywhere after that and me going right into menopause. So I
Mm.
was actually in menopause when I had my hysterectomy. I
Oh,
had
wow.
just officially gone into menopause. So I went from that to a major surgery, changing my industry, actually not having a job for a little bit, and then being post menopause that fast.
Wow, that's a lot at one time.
Yes. Yes. And that's what my body and my spirit said. Yeah, it was tough.
So, what is the difference between perimenopause and menopause other than your cycle completely stopping? What is the difference in your body?
That actually is the difference.
You're still going
When
through all the other changes.
you're still going through the other changes, It's just that you no longer have your cycle,
Mm.
which I was absolutely not mad about. Like I was because the thing about the menopause transition that's interesting along with other things, many other things, is we all go through a different experience, right?
Right.
But what you experienced as a child, like in what they call menarche, which is pre-menopause, like that is puberty, and during your actual time where you start your menstrual, what you experience during that time in your cycles also creates what your experience is like in perimenopause and postmenopause. And mine was rough. I started at 10.
Wow. Gosh. Except when you're going through your menstrual, it's just for those few days that you're on it. But when you're dealing with perimenopause and menopause, it's a daily thing. It doesn't stop and
Yes.
start. Oh, because I know I'm in that phase as well, the perimenopause stage. And I'm
Yeah.
going through a lot of those changes. I'll be up late at night. I cannot sleep, brain fog.
Yes.
My emotions be up and down. Are you married? Because my husband does not understand the process at all.
Yes. So I'll tell you one of the most interesting parts of that for me is that I'm married, but my spouse is a female. And so we are only a few years apart.
Hmm.
So we're both experiencing menopause at the
He's
same
going through
time.
it too, but he doesn't seem to understand my process. I don't understand. I guess his isn't as bad.
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
think they go through it as bad as ours.
No, because I agree. I absolutely agree they do. I think that theirs is not as tough. Their body is not affected in the same way, but
Mhm.
it is affected. But I think because we have just blown it off so much, like so many people, doctors blow it off and just add it on to the emotions of a woman and the things we do and go through as women. I think that they don't realize it's really an imbalance, and
Yes.
that they go through it too, just in a different way because they're being tough. But yeah.
Hmm. Do you
Yep.
consider it more like a midlife crisis for the men? Because it seems like theirs is more trying to hold on. For my husband, it seems like he is going through a phase of just wanting to feel, you don't want to grow, you don't want to feel old before you feel old or before your
Yeah.
body feels old. So he,
Yes. Yes, I do. I really felt like that was a midlife crisis for me. And I called it that because it was midlife. It was in the hardest, the roughest time. It was me crossing over into my first years of my early 40s and recognizing, okay, now I got to wear these reader glasses. I really
yes.
need
Oh
them.
my God.
Brain fog, I missed that one, but for sure I was affected by brain fog and forgetting things, my memory changing. So I think that because our body changes from the inside in a different way than a man, I think that their experience up here is also different
Yeah.
because it affects us mentally as well. That gut and that brain, like they talk to each other.
Right.
And I think because men don't have the same makeup as us, it's just them saying, I'm getting older. I can't get on the basketball court the
Yeah.
same. You know what I mean? But still, they may have a little toughness losing weight,
Yeah.
but our experience losing weight is just immediately something even tougher.
Oh my God, yes. I've never had this problem losing this fupa I have.
Yes,
It has never been this hard.
I
Gosh.
know, which is another one. That's another one. So when I had the hysterectomy, because they moved stuff around in there, like my stomach changed. It was never like I've never been like skinny, but the way that it was shaped was different because they took stuff out.
Oh wow.
And so it became a different shape and it became more stubborn. The stubborn belly fat then affected me. It's
Wow.
amazing.
It is. Oh gosh, what did you do? What do you do to help you with those? Do you take medication or what is that? Some type of treatment, hormone treatments or?
I suck at anything medication. I don't like medication. When my grandmother passed away years ago, she did a lot of spiritual detoxing, and she took
Mm.
a lot of vitamins, and she was a hairstylist. So back in those days they didn't have the see moment. There's a moment right there. The circulation in her establishment. And so though all of those things affected her, and she ended up with a brain tumor.
Oh no.
And I really I remember as a kid going in her cabinet where she had so many pills. And I know that they weren't medication, they were all kinds of different vitamins and supplements. And this is how I felt and what I took from it. But I felt like she did a lot of changing to her body, to the body chemistry itself. And I was always so fearful of that. And
Oh,
I could be
okay.
wrong. I could be wrong as that being the reason, because God makes no mistake. She was a beautiful woman, lived a
Right.
beautiful life. But I felt those things could have changed her body and her balance. And so
Mm,
I never want to take any medicine. It did create a fear. And
okay.
so they prescribed me the patch. They prescribed something called estradiol, some
Oh,
cream.
okay.
And I even went and got the stuff from the pharmacy, but
Mm.
I just could never take it. I wanted natural remedies.
So you do supplements and things like that.
So I do supplements. I found a wonderful all natural supplement, a mental wellness company that I actually partner with. So
Okay.
that's where the mental wellness side comes from. And it's been clinically tested. And that's what I needed. I needed it to be something tested that I could stand on, that people have taken, that was natural. And so I did find that. And I take my vitamins. I take turmeric and curcumin because I've got some inflammation. This is what happens when you take a gap off of things too. You can see your body, and it does take time for them to get in your system, and you follow a consistent regimen. So it hasn't been a long time, but my hot flashes are doing better.
Oh, that's
Um,
good.
my my anxiety, my stress resilience, my emotions, like my energy level is
Oh,
better.
that's the main thing. What about your sleep?
I sleep through the night.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I was waking up at the same time in the middle of the night, looking up in the ceiling, trying to make $1 out of 15 cents, still trying to figure it out because I can't sleep.
Yeah.
Now I sleep. I've stopped drinking water before bed most recently,
Really?
because that would make me get up in the middle of the night to go to the
Oh,
bathroom.
oh, okay.
So I'm doing much better with that. I'm sleeping, but I'm paying attention to what I eat even more than ever, reading labels. Like, I'm on the back of everything. What does this have in it? And it's so
Yeah.
much. You have to be so intentional with it. I said that it's really called the change because you have to change.
Yeah. You know
Mhm.
what's crazy? My mom, I asked her about it and she said she don't feel like she experienced it because she stayed so busy, just really going and going that she didn't even,
Yeah.
only thing she noticed was the hot flashes, but nothing else because she stayed so busy.
I
Like,
think that
wow.
happens a lot. Yep. I really do. I think that, and some of us go through much less of an experience than others.
Mm.
Some, it happens later on where they don't expect it. And then they look up in their late 50s and they're like, oh, but I think that it's because we don't recognize it, because we go through so much as women that we just push through.
That's probably what it was. She didn't
Mm-hmm.
realize what she was. She just thought it was just a regular day of going through something and
Yep.
bounce back, keep going, bounce
Mm-hmm.
back, keep going.
Yep.
That's probably
It's
it.
amazing. I
You
really
know,
believe that.
I thought, I guess you like you say, it's different for everybody, but I thought that because I've heard some people say that once they got into the menopause phase, that they got their energy back, things changed. They weren't going through all those symptoms anymore. They started feeling like themselves again. But
I do recognize the difference in how I feel now versus then, and the symptoms do lessen. They do change after menopause, like in postmenopause. It does start to change. The perimenopause symptoms start to lessen. Some of them impact you different than others. Some lessen, some stay the same because still your hormones are still imbalanced. So if you don't get anything or take anything or do anything to help them get more balanced, then because that's what is the difference with HRT. So HRT is a hormone replacement. So they're replacing hormones. That's not a natural thing. And so
I'm scared of that. I heard it can cause
yes,
cancer.
yes, it we don't need anything else that can
Right.
cause cancer.
I know.
And it's already enough of us having to really pay attention to what we eat and what we put in our bodies with that right there. And it has other symptoms too. Like can take an impact on you. Heart palpitations.
Yes.
I had that one where I ended up going to the hospital. And so who needs to try to replace, like some people do that. Some people have done it and they're fans of it. I, again, respect for what you decide. But for me, terrifying
I'm scared of it too.
because, yeah, I couldn't do it. I was already imbalanced enough. And you're talking about trying to replace your hormones. And, what if it doesn't happen right? And
Right.
what's too, yeah. Yeah, I couldn't do it.
That's true. I've seen some women say that once they reached menopause and their cycle stopped, they felt lost. Something was missing after that. Did you go through that phase?
I did.
You
I
did.
did because when it stopped was also when I had my surgery too. And when I took a pause and left that job in that industry, oh, I was so lost because it's like a rebirth. Menopause is. It really is, because your body is recalibrating. And there's a beautiful thing that happens after the menopause experience, like in postmenopause, when you get and do things that help your hormones get more balanced and you rehabilitate from that part, it really is refreshing. It really is. I like it on this.
Really? Okay.
I do. It feels after that moment of being lost and that time and of you being sad, it's almost like leaving all of that back there with perimenopause. And I now understand why women, when they get in their late 50s and their 60s, they're out here because if
Back
you,
all lively again, huh?
yeah, it's really, I understand why. Like I'll be 50 this year, and I'm like super excited about 50. And I never would have thought that. But I get now why it's called a rebirth and why it is that time where it's like you are on to the second half of your life, God willing. And so it does. It feels good. You're wiser. You might have a little brain fog and but you figure out how to keep those things intact and feed yourself, because that's where I am now. Is I'm doing so much learning, but who's thinking they're going to do that at 50? But that's what feels good.
Yeah, it does. I do a lot of learning too. It
Yeah.
does feel good. I guess we keep our brain sharp. So
Yeah, we have to do what we have to do to keep on pushing through.
yeah.
But it doesn't have to be something that's not a good thing. Yeah.
That's positive. That's positive for the
Right.
women out there that's listening to this, that's probably just getting started or haven't made it to that point yet. Because we're all going to go there or get to this point at some age. And I guess it's starting earlier for women these days. If you say you started in your early 30s,
I
that's
started
right.
in my early 30s.
Yeah, that's just stepping out of your 20s.
Yeah.
That's you don't even expect it to start that soon.
You don't. And I would say that it was more of a gradual thing too, and it didn't affect me as much in the beginning. It just started to grow because it was moving on to the next phase of things. But what I will also say is that in this postmenopausal time, you're also like where we care so much about things and what people think and what somebody's going to see when they look at you. Like the I don't give a care, like the I'm not going to stress off of what you say, like those moments. Oh, yeah.
Oh,
It's,
really?
oh, yes. I love that.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we're
I like that.
definitely, it's where you take some stress off and you leave it where it was. So you begin to, and for me, I've never really been a crowd kind of person, but I choose wisely about who I surround myself with and who I
Yes.
allow my energy to be affected by. Yeah.
Oh my God, that's where I'm at today.
Yes. It feels good. It's
It took
good
some
on
time to get there because I kept making bad choices when it comes to stuff like that because I'm such a
yeah,
giving person and just want
me
to see
too.
everybody win and want to support everybody. But
Yes.
that is definitely not reciprocated.
It's not. I learned one of my favorite parts was learning how to say no.
Mm, mm,
It was tough. Like you said, I wanted to be there for everyone. I have always been that person.
yeah.
I'm the oldest of six. My
Mm,
mom was a single mom. I want to have everybody's back. I want to be there for you as much as I can. I wanted to be the problem solver, the go-to person to help fix and get it right. Then I
yeah.
said, and managing people and managing restaurants. And I said, it was taking too much out of you. You have to, I guess that's part of the balance too, is
Yeah.
that you also have to say, okay, there's this is all I have. And if I'm giving everybody too much out of my cup, then my cup is empty.
Right.
Yep.
And people don't think about filling your cup.
Yeah. Nope. They're like, oh, there's nothing in your cup. Oh man.
Yeah. Let me go somewhere else, see if I can get
Yeah. Go find some new cups.
Yeah. Yep. It took
Yeah.
me this long to learn that as well. It took me this long.
Yeah.
So yeah, I am definitely at that phase. So tell me or tell us about how you discovered that mindfulness and emotional intelligence and stress resilience were your superpowers.
Yes. So I've always been, like I said, a calm, mild mannered kind of person. I've always been able to, people come to me and say, Kelly, how do I say this to this person? Because I don't want it to sound this way.
Yeah.
And I recognize like people would always say, you know how to do that. You always know how to say it. Or let's write this letter to this person. I need you to help me with it. I need to go have this conversation. Can you help me? Or can you go have the conversation? This is what I need to say to them. And so it made me recognize that thing in me was different from others. Like I think about what I say before I say it. And I think about the impact of things. Now I did have to start not thinking so much about how I was going to impact people because then it took too much out of me. So I did learn that part. But I recognized that the way to, I'm not going to use the word fix, but part of what I needed to embrace in making it through that perimenopause, menopause transition was that I had to change how I felt about the experience. I had to strengthen taking the stress out of my life in order for me to be able to continue to be a pleasant person. I found that time really created, for me, I felt like I was less pleasant. I felt like I was less approachable, less involved. And so it became where I recognized I needed to use that thing in me, which was mindfulness and being emotionally intelligent. So not just me balancing my emotions, but recognizing and caring about the emotions of others when I'm in a moment and speaking to them. So that thing a lot of people didn't have and don't have.
Right.
And I encountered so many people in the restaurant and hospitality industry that I recognized that these were all things that I had a gift that God gave me to use. And that was what I needed to do, is share how I go about doing that. And so I recognize that it is a superpower, and it's a superpower that a woman can have if she's intentional and consistent about doing the things that help get you there.
What are some of the things that help you get there?
So one of my things that I do daily is breathing. Breathe work helps so many things in your life. Before a stressful moment, when you're having a hot flash, when you're up in the middle of the night, first thing in the morning, like, breathe work helps me. And it's about being mindful and incorporating the two of those together that help you through the toughness also in menopause. Because I didn't take supplements at first. It was just me intentionally paying attention to when my moments came and being mindful and recognizing when those things were going to happen, and not allowing stress or anybody to anger you, or if you got frustrated in a moment where you were having a moment with brain fog, stop, taking a breath. Because when you get flustered or when you get stressed, like, it ignites it. And so that was things that I recognized, that when I would just stop, be quiet, calm, breathe, and take that moment. Now, God is always right there with me. Okay. Right. I think that, I don't know about others, but with breathing, with being mindful, talking to Him, and just making sure that He's always right there with me, all those things together really helped with my resilience with stress and handling tough situations out in the world. Even if it's just, I live in Atlanta, so even if it's just being on the road and driving, it really, if you don't stop and take that moment, it really can ignite. I felt like that's why people, you look and you popped off real quick and you said something that you didn't mean to say. You said something that you didn't really want to say to some person, and you can't take it back. Being mindful, taking those breaths, giving yourself self-care, self-love. We don't stop and do that. We don't take time for ourselves.
That's true. That's true.
Yep.
You are like the third or fourth person, because I get a lot of coaches on here interviewing, and everyone says something about the breath work is the stress reliever. Got to take really time out to do the breath work.
Yes.
So that got to be something serious, because you are not the only person that said that. So I'm going to definitely start trying that, because even though they've said that, I have not been consistently on that. So now that must be a serious thing that you have to do. So I'm going to put that into my daily practice for real.
It feels good. You'll be surprised. You'll be surprised. And the one thing that I share and I tell people, like, I've just started to where I'm actually working with some people, which is super exciting. And one thing that I share is that when you're breathing and you're doing that breathing framework, it's got to be peaceful. Take it in a quiet moment to yourself and breathe all the way in and breathe all the way out. So when exhaling, you can really feel all the breath go from your lungs. And so I usually do 4, 4, and 6. So I do 4 seconds of breathing, of inhaling, and then I hold for 4 seconds, and then I exhale for 6.
Oh. Is this also combined? Is this like your meditation as well? Breathing is all at once?
Yes.
Okay.
And just clearing your thoughts. So when I do my breathing work, I'm not thinking of anything else.
Okay.
I am clearing that out, because all of that sits and gathers up on top of one another, and our experiences that we go through, you got to release it.
Yeah, got to release it.
And one of my favorite things that the old TV show that I used to watch, the A Different World.
Mm.
And one of my favorite moments was Jasmine Guy, and she did this thing, and she's relax, relate,
Oh
release.
yeah,
You
relax,
remember that?
relate, please.
It's really a thing.
Huh. Relax, relate, release.
Relax, relate, release.
Mm.
And although that was comedy, that was television, that's really a thing,
Mm.
because we have to stop. If when you're doing that breathe work and you inhale, when you do that exhaling and just allow your body to relax, like you can feel the heaviness come off your shoulder. You can feel that weight off. And so I really feel that too.
How many times a day do you do that?
Depends on what I'm going through, like
Okay.
what kind of day I'm having. I start the day off with it. I usually, so in my full-time job, I'm in customer service as well still. And I work in a dual role. So the first part of my day, I'm in support, and a lot of people get frustrated and they're
I can
stressed.
imagine.
So I'm keeping my composure, and because your brain you can't always think straight when you're stressed.
That's so true.
And so in order to help them through their issues, I need to be calm. So I usually do it when I'm done with that and I take my break. I do breathe work then. I actually do it a lot of the times when I get in the car
Oh, okay. So this
on
is
my
the
way
all day
home.
thing.
Yeah, yep.
Whenever you
Um,
need it.
whenever you need it.
Okay.
Yep.
That
And
makes
I close my eyes too. Yep.
okay. That's a great tip. Thanks. I'm pretty sure that's going to help me and a lot of other people that watch this
You're welcome. I
episode.
hope so. I hope so.
Okay, so you have built the Menopause Collective and even launched an online store. What can women expect when they engage with your platform?
I am growing it. So I am really excited about how God is working on me. So I'm working on an ebook, and
Oh,
I've
cool.
got some tools that I've created that, oh, it's such an experience of learning social media and all of the different things. But what they can expect is support and tools, and something to help, things to help build and strength and empower us as women, and some gear to help with that as well. So that's what's actually on my online store, is mugs and coffee cups and t-shirts and things to let people see that we're not just aging, we're upgrading,
Yeah, I
and
like that.
empowering us as women and doing it with each other. We don't do enough of that. So
Yeah.
you can expect that. And I really hope to do some speaking, is what people can expect to see me just really embracing this work that God has for me, that He brought to me during my time in menopause after my surgery. I wanted to be a life coach, but I didn't want to just be a life coach. So I didn't
Mm.
do that. And this came to me years ago, and I blew it off because I didn't just want to be what I saw as the average life coach. I didn't feel like that was what He had for me.
Yeah.
But I kept saying, Lord, can you show me the work that you have for me? Because I knew that it was more than what I was doing. I knew that what I was doing was what I thought I was supposed to be doing. And I kept asking. And it was during that time where I was really quiet and spent a lot of time with myself healing,
Mm.
where He said, "This is the thing, Kelly." And I said, "This is the thing. It's menopause."
Yes.
And that's how incorporating mindfulness and stress resilience and emotional intelligence, that's where all of that came from, because
Mm.
I endured a good bit of changes as a child through puberty and through those younger years in my
Right.
life, and I never let it take me down. I've always just continued to be strong. But during that time where that meant that surgery and things sat me down, it let me see that all of that was my journey, and I was supposed to use it and to incorporate what I had done and what I was doing now and going through and put those all together, because that's what somebody else is going through or has been through.
Yes. And a lot of us don't know where to find the resources to learn about the changes that we go
Yes.
through once we hit a certain age. And we're searching online, looking at different people talk about it on
Mhm.
different posts, just different things, Google, it's
Yes.
a lot of information. And then I don't know
Yes.
about you, but my mom is from a different generation, so that generation didn't really talk to us about certain things. So the asking questions, when I asked her, she was like, I don't think I even really experienced it. I just did hot flashes. But my mom wasn't one of the ones that talked to me about different things growing
Yes.
up. So these experiences are like out of nowhere. It's just like, whoa, what am I
Yeah.
going
What is
through?
happening?
What is happening?
Yeah. The
So
same. The
so not
same.
yeah, so not really prepared for it mentally, spiritually, or
Yes.
physically for it. So it's like going through these changes is like crazy.
Yes.
So I'm so glad that you are going, that this is the business that you are going into or that you have, because we need more resources out there for stuff like this. And I don't know if there are a lot out there, but I haven't seen a lot out there. So when I when you said that's what you did, I was excited to have you on here to talk about it, because I know I've been talking to a lot of women here lately, and they're all starting to go through some form of changes and trying to
Mhm.
understand what's going on with them.
Yes. Yes, I agree. And I think that my mom is the same. My mom's a baby boomer, and
Yeah.
they were raised a certain way, and they definitely gave us that stress and that resilience. We definitely learned that from them. We had a lot of rules back in the day. I was raised in the 70s and 80s, and there
Same.
were rules to things. We had to push through or put on your big girl panties, and
Yep.
there were all of those things that was how we were built. But I think that our generation, Gen X, is like now going through what they were going through then, and
Right.
we're not ready. We're not silent about it. We're like, wait a minute, what is this is going on, and
Right.
why didn't we learn about it? I said
Mhm.
we learned all the things in school. I don't know about you, but I haven't used much algebra. There's all of these things that we learned.
You know what? My kids, I homeschooled them, and I tell them, just get through the work. Just finish out the program all the way. Because you can finish as fast as you want to finish it, get all the way to 12th grade. I don't care. Just keep going and finish it. Homeschool throughout the summer. I say, because really none of this stuff you're going to use when you become an adult, other than knowing how to
Yes.
read and write, knowing how to add and subtract, multiply and divide.
Yeah,
Outside of that, the main things you're going to learn is living life and on the job training and
I agree. Yeah.
experience, because they are not teaching us about business. They're not teaching us about anything that we're going to need, finances, all the real world things that we really need in
Mhm.
life, that we're not learning that.
Yeah.
So I took them out of school because I didn't even see the benefit in it.
Awesome. I love that.
Most definitely.
I love
Yeah,
that.
we're not using any of that stuff. The history, of course, we know about some of the things in history, of course, but we're not using it in
Yeah.
today, other than learning from it and understanding that those things happened in the past, and some of it is still happening today. And
Right.
we still need to make change in a lot of areas, but if you're not in a position of power, there's nothing you really can do about it other than to talk about it and maybe vote
Right.
or whatever. But anyway, next
Yeah. Isn't that
question.
amazing?
I see you have partnered with a mental wellness company. How does that partnership expand your mission?
It gives more than just, it gives you the second part of the healing and the getting rid of or of some of the symptoms of
Mm,
perimenopause.
okay.
And I take not getting rid of, but easing, because it does take time when you're taking any supplement or any medication. It does take time, consistency, and patience to allow it to work. But
Mm,
those partner together. First, you have to get your mindset right. You have to be able to really recognize and believe that these things will work first. And so breathe work and the self-care and putting that work into yourself first is where it was. And then when I learned about this company, I recognized that was also the product that they have was also what will help with those things working for you. So for example, the product that I take is called the Happy Hormones Pack. And it's a 3-step protocol. So I take 3 supplements with this protocol. And one of them is to help with your mood, and one of them is to help with your weight and your stress and balancing your emotions. And so that with balancing your hormones naturally, and then also doing the work here and on the inside, I said, oh my goodness, this is what I need to be able to give women also a solution, another solution to the problem, because the symptoms are the problem. The rest of it we can fix. But what about people who just might not be as strong at doing that?
Yeah.
Because I do recognize that me being able to put things in a place and leave them there, that I know that's definitely compartmentalizing, that has helped me a lot. Now, you do have to unpack those compartments, I know, but I have been able to do that in a moment. Okay, now I'm ready to unpack that. And incorporating these awesome supplements with this company helped to do that. And so when I heard about it, and in a random way with a lady who is now a mentor to me on that side, I just randomly crossed paths with her watching her live video.
Oh, wow.
And I commented, and she saw menopause in my name. And we ended up touching base and had an hour-long conversation.
Oh, wow.
And she got me started on these supplements, because I said, in order to partner and become a brand partner, I have to take it first.
Right.
I'm not going to recommend anything to anyone that I'm not taking and experience that it's going to contribute something good. And so I started that, and I said, oh my gosh, now I have something that I can tell others about and share with them, something that I can be confident in saying this is all natural, clinically tested, because that part was so big. And there's many others. There's like you're talking about sleeping. They also have an awesome sleep supplement that does not have melatonin in it. It helps you naturally build your own melatonin.
That's good. Melatonin does not work for me, I tell you.
Yeah. And so many people are like, yeah, I just pop and if it works for you, I always like to say, because it's never whatever works for you, but I don't want melatonin either. Give me some good old natural stuff, or I'm gonna be trying to figure out how not to be looking at the ceiling. But
because I definitely be looking at the ceiling every night. Okay, so I'm definitely gonna try some of this stuff that you have. Hopefully, you give me a list of it. You can email me a list, and I'll put it in when I get ready to post this episode. I'll tag your information and then the different things that you sell on there, so people could be able to just tap it and go and purchase it.
Okay.
Yeah. So I'm excited. So I know we've been on here almost an hour, because I know we can talk. Talk. Before we get out of here, what impact do you hope to leave on women navigating their own transitions, whether it's menopause, business, or identity?
Oh, great question. Identity wise, be you. I was always different. I never knew where to fit in. So I recognized that I didn't have to fit in anywhere. You don't have to fit in. If there's not a seat at the table, create your own table.
That's my motto.
For sure. Allow yourself to be different and unique and embrace who you are. Business wise, for sure, don't force yourself to be in or do anything that does not give you any food, nutrition, or any investment in your happiness. Don't force yourself. if you need to work two part-time jobs and be an entrepreneur and do whatever you have to do, that if that's what makes you happy.
I love
We
that.
we don't have to work a job and work that job for 30 years and have retirement. You don't have to do it that way. Don't force yourself to do something you're not happy with. Big time.
Oh, I love that.
And as far as, what was the other one you asked me? Because I
That
just
was the
felt
three.
Was that it?
Yeah, that was it.
And
Yeah.
don't be in denial on the menopause experience, because it's okay. Like, it's going to take you, it's going to get you, it's going to get us all.
Yeah.
And you will have to learn about it and learn how to prevent it from being so rough on you and your body. But the experience does not have to be torture. But we do have to be okay with speaking on it and not be embarrassed about it.
Yeah. That is the hard part of not being embarrassed about it and wanting to speak on it. Because you feel like, oh God, I'm getting old.
Yeah.
And then how they look at women at a certain age.
Yes.
They're going through these different phases. So it's you don't even want to talk about it.
But we're looking good out here. We are aging gracefully.
Yes, we are.
We
yes,
are beautiful out here, aging like fine wine.
Yeah. That's right. Yeah, that's
yes.
right.
We have to change how we feel about it.
That is so true. Before we get out of here, tell everybody how they can find you, your social media, your website, and everything.
Awesome. So I am Coach Kelly G. I am on Instagram, Menopause. Boy, I can't talk. Menopause Coach Kelly G on Instagram. I am Kelly Scott Gay on Facebook. You can find me there as well. I do have a Facebook group. It's called All Things Menopause, Pre to Post Menopause. My online store is called the Menopause Collective. And I'm also growing my stand store right now that I just got started. So you can sign up for my email list. There is a free 9 tips to wellness during your menopause journey that I do have there. And I'm going to be adding on some other things as far as, or including a ebook that I'm working on, like I said, and I'm going to start doing some calls where we can start figuring out how to get some ladies some tools so that they can know how to manage this experience better. And so that's it. I'm definitely on TikTok, Menopause Mentor, the Menopause Collective. I'm kind of liking TikTok, so you can see me on there a lot too.
I love it. All right, Kelly, thank you for being a bold, honest, and unapologetically real with us today. Your voice is powerful, and your work is creating a space for women to be seen, supported, and whole. To our listeners, if you ever felt alone in your transition, this is your reminder that this is strength in your story and sisterhood and healing. So until next time, stay brave, stay grounded, and keep building your legacy on your own terms. So thank you, Kelly, for joining me today, and you have a wonderful weekend.
Thank you so much, Leilani. You as well.
You're so welcome.
It was quite a pleasure.
It was definitely a pleasure. And I'm going to be buying your products too, because
awesome.
I need
it. Thank you. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Bye.
Bye.